Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Amy Serrano. Happy 2021. You know, I have this thing about even numbers. I hate even numbers and I always like odd. And 21 is actually my favorite number. So I'm just putting it out there that this year is gonna be better. I feel like we've somewhat adjusted and adapted to this new life. Things are just gonna be on the up and up. I'm just gonna put it out there for me, for you. So let's get back into the fashion game. I've missed you guys so much as far as the trend prediction. This video, as you guys read in the title, I wanted to do reacting to my trend predictions from 2020. What came true, what didn't. We're gonna find out. I think I did this at either the end of like 2019 or right at the beginning. I usually do them like right at the beginning of the year. Let's see what your girl got wrong or right. And you know my ass is a Virgo al cien, so I want to be right all the time. But I know I got some things wrong. Like, I mean, with the coronavirus and everything. Cringe levels that I'm about to have, let's see. So yeah, this is the 2020 fashion trend forecast by yours truly. And I uploaded this on January 11th. So yeah, I was like right in the beginning of the year. Let's see what your girl got wrong and right. I am known as the Walter Mercado of fashion trends. R.I.P. Walter Mercado. I can't believe we lost him last year. Oh, but man, yes. Did you guys watch his documentary? Oh, it's a trash. It's a garbage can. If you guys hear anything, I'm gonna get my fucking coffee while she gets her shit together. It's fucking trash day. Okay, just sit back, relax, grab a drink, grab some snacks. I don't know. Make yourself comfortable. Move on to what is coming. 2020. Okay. Move into a more conscious culture, sure. But I think with everything that has been going on with climate change, more and more people every year are disasters. People are really feeling it. Trying to talk over myself. More and more people, this is still going to be true. This is something that I'm talking about in the 2021 predictions as well. People will be valuing more conscious, more transparent brands. So I think that's very, very true. More and more people taking a step into being a bit more eco-conscious and try to heal the damage that we have done. Just the way that Forever 21 filed bankruptcy and they closed so many of their stores in the US, I think they're gonna kind of just stay up. You know which fast fashion is hard? I feel like Forever 21 was like kind of easier to quit, but you know which one is hard to freaking quit is Zara. Like, they're just, I hate to say it, but they're good. That is such a telling sign of the trajectory that we're going into. I think a lot of the models moving forward, retail models that are going to be rental, this is actually Rent the Runway. This is actually Rent the Runway too. I've been a huge advocate for Rent the Runway for the past year. I think I've had my membership. I pay. I'm nothing sponsored in this video, obviously. And they still haven't sponsored me. I think it's really cool because I'm waiting for you to Rent the Runway. Let's do a collab. But I think it's really cool because it's stuff like this that, like, I get it. You wear the same thing over and over again, especially if you love fashion, you really like to make statements. So I think renting is definitely an amazing retail model so you can still have fun with fashion and make your statements. I really love a rental model and I think we're going to be seeing more of that. And this is very true. I got approached by a few different rental companies that haven't really like made it big in the year, but they definitely started in 2020. So I feel like just moving forward for sure as well, like that rental model really does work. 3 R's, you guys: rental, resale, and repairs. More and more are going to be offering repairs. I know like Nordstrom does that. There's like a few that already have, but I think it's going to become more of a norm, which is super exciting because I feel like maybe over the years, like it definitely didn't happen in 2020, but I do feel like the Real is super popular. I know they've been around, like I've literally shopped with the Real since the jump. I just hear it so much more and I see their ads and everything, so I know they're doing really well for themselves. They opened so many more boutiques, so like that resale model is really good. Poshmark, obviously. Depop, oh my god, Depop, that has blown up. I feel like Depop has blown up because of TikTok as well. So I mean, I feel like I got it right. It's definitely like quality over quantity, and there's going to be a lot of value centered around special details. So like maybe something that's like handcrafted, one of a kind. And I think the designs are going to become maybe a little bit more timeless. Like maybe designs are going to be a bit more simplified, not so like graphic-y. The days of fast fashion is definitely on the decline, although we have not yet obliterated all of those. Like, I think it's not going to be until like 2030, but people at least are now valuing the companies that are more conscious, that you know they're celebrated. Like you can get canceled so quickly now, so I feel like the ones who don't take those measures of what I'm talking about, then like they will have to adapt, or else their model will be dead. So those are kind of the things that I wanted to talk about as far as like the biggest circumstance that we're dealing with as a culture, as the world. Girl, really that is not the biggest anymore. Still a big one, but definitely not quite the top of our little noggins out here, you know. Health. I think is that people are going to be really paying attention to very like crafty, unique pieces. I think this idea, and I've talked about this for sure, I feel like I always talk about it in all my trend videos, but we're still very much in that we really want to stand out, be unique, have a I'm like talking about this in the 2021 predictions too. It's just like every year it just gets a little bit more, you know, you're like moving up this curve bell, and I feel like, I mean 2021, we might see the peak. We'll save that for like that video. Definitely, I feel like it was true. Even on Depop as well, I'm going to bring that up, where people will like make their own, you know, like the corsets, and I just saw a lot of like tie-dye. Like these are still, even though everybody is doing tie-dye, if you do it yourself, it's still very crafty and it's still very unique. And I feel like during the quarantine, actually a lot of people got crafty and wanted to do like little projects and stuff like that. So I feel like I got it right as well. Everybody has a platform at the end of the day. I'm gonna, for the 2021 prediction, I have a lot more examples. These are really big ideas that I had in this trend prediction forecast. Like it's not super specific, so I'm gonna be much more specific in the 2021 forecast. I think there's like a big need to really stand out and be super opinionated, and everybody, you know, kind of has the power to do that nowadays. So I think in 2020, and we've already been seeing it, you know, in the past, but definitely 2020 and moving forward, we're embracing more uniqueness, embracing more inclusivity, we're embracing more like the unusual. You can definitely see that in the casting that they're doing for like fashion runways, like definitely more inclusivity. You see people that are older than 20, you see people that are older than 50, you see people that are all shapes and sizes, skin tones, you just see it all across the board, which has never really happened before in the fashion industry, and I would say like the past couple of years. But now it's almost like if you have a homogenous type of model on your runway, like now you get called out for it and you're canceled.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The cancel culture is super real. So even though
and it only got crazier like this like past year. 2020 was cancel culture phenomenon.
No, it's like you're almost forced to nowadays. So
performative.
We saw some performative this year. And cancel culture definitely has to do with like that whole theme that I'm talking about, of like everybody wanting to have opinion and stuff like that. So I'm like really curious to see like where that's gonna go to, because I just feel like everything's gonna be canceled if people continue to like super nitpick. But on the other hand, it's really amazing because it's forcing change in a lot of industries that haven't been shaken up before. So it's really exciting to see. Also on the topic of climate change, and also to bring up Pantone's color of the year. Pantone always releases a color of the year, and designers generally inject that color throughout their designs, and then you just see it, you know, trickle on over to all of your retailers. So the color of the year was classic blue. I feel like it's definitely a reflection of our climate change, in the sense of like we know that
I'm
the
like,
ocean
did we
is
see a lot of blue?
bit,
Do you feel like I think this was kind of wrong, but I mean, I was just talking about the Pantone.
reflected back into the runway shows. Like I think the silhouettes are also gonna kind of like mimic the ocean, like very...
Oh, this is very true actually. I'm gonna put up, I'm like forgetting the designers that definitely had this in their 2020 runways.
Tone world. I don't think it's just going to be classic blue, to be honest. Aqua blue, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of sea foam, just a lot of these aquatic color palettes. So definitely something that I'm calling out. And I also think that we're going to be seeing like seashells and like starfish and just
We
like
saw a lot of
oceanic
seashells for sure, but I feel like
crustaceans.
in home decor, like those little shell candles, girl, those little shell dishes with the oyster in it, I feel like that was really popular. I'm trying to think in clothing. I don't know, maybe you were a little wrong here.
And then also just to piggyback off of the ocean, obviously nature. Nature is still going to be very prominent and something that we look to because we have been so disconnected from nature. Again, with the
Even
climate change, I
more
think this is gonna
so, my
affect-
God. I mean, if we were disconnected before 2020, imagine in 2020, we definitely needed to reconnect with nature. I feel like a lot of people's like trips and stuff this year, since we weren't really able to travel, obviously, it was more like camping and like going out to nature, to like to the ocean, like to the park, any little bit of trying to reconnect into nature. I think we really valued this year because
again with the climate change,
we
I
couldn't
think
leave
this
our
is
damn
gonna
house.
affect designers and kind of like what we see, what we want. I feel like people want to reconnect with nature a bit more. I think we're all super addicted to our screens. More and more people are staying home, like working from home. From the office or at
Yes,
home.
more people are staying
And-
from home. Everybody freaking had to stay at home this time.
Compared to the past, it's definitely been a huge decline in connecting with nature. And I kind of brought this up, I think, a few years ago as well, where people are going to be looking to reconnect, but almost like in a virtual reality kind of way. I think that we're going to be seeing a lot of prints that are like digitalized.
Wait, this was very true.
Kind of like these landscapes.
Like right after, I remember, because I love when you guys send me like, oh look, your prediction came true. Keep doing that. Honestly, I like love to see it. But the Versace, I got so roasted on TikTok. Like, you know how people on TikTok like just don't really know you? Like, you guys know me, and I butcher every freaking designer's name on the planet, and they're like, oh God, it was the Versace for me. I'm like, okay, Versace. Anyways, the Versace runway was very digital, like very, very digitalized. Very shortly after I put this video out, like February, you know?
Beautiful, naturalistic landscapes will be like digitally printed.
And it was like
on
foresty,
clothing
yeah.
is what I'm seeing.
Definitely came
and then
true.
also for nature, florals for spring. Super groundbreaking, but I feel like it's just something that we always see every year, so I think we are going to be seeing it, but I think, like I'm saying, it's going to be more of like a digitalized, like almost fusing technology and nature together,
Yep.
which is...
The fact that I said we're gonna be visiting nature like virtually, I mean, I feel like that could be the future, you guys.
Yeah, how I'm saying like it's like the virtual...
It hasn't happened yet.
Trying to get into nature, but virtually. I don't know, maybe I'm like thinking far too into the future. You let me know in the comments below if I'm like... it's a reach. And then also on that like little technology tiff, fabrications are going to be a bit more techy. I think designers, like I'm saying, are going to be designing for climate change, whether it be, you know, layered pieces, because I mean, I don't know if you guys feel the weather changes, but it's hot until December, and then all of a sudden it gets super, super cold, and then it'll be hot the next day. We're definitely feeling it out here in LA. I feel like the weather is insane. And I definitely think that designers are going to be making pieces that are a little bit more practical for this ever-changing weather.
I feel like it's not popular yet, though, you know? Maybe in like 2-3 years. We'll go look back on this 2020 forecast and see these fabrications, because I feel like some designers are like, I'll read a lot of articles and stuff. I'm a member of like Business of Fashion, of Women's Wear Daily, and I just constantly see all of the fashion news, and I will see these like technical fabrics being used, or like at least being invented, I guess, and I don't really see it in the mainstream. So maybe not a trend necessarily, but I definitely see this happening in like maybe 2 or 3 years.
Maybe there's like some kind of cooling technology, like if it does get hot during the day. I don't know, I feel like we're gonna be seeing
My
a little
mind
bit,
lives in the future, dude. I'm like, cooling technology, like I live like 50 years ahead.
like we're gonna be seeing a little bit more technology savvy wearability in our clothing. So again, I don't know if I'm like thinking too far
Yes,
into
girl.
it, but I definitely can see that happening just because of the climate change. Definitely something to think about, designers out there. Maybe we won't all be wearing stuff like that right now in this year, but I will say
I came to my
a lot of
senses.
cool prints. So maybe like glitches or things that just look a little bit psychedelic, trippy. And I mean, we saw so much of...
Si eres Mexicana or Latina, you already know what this means. It's so funny. Not everybody does this, you know? They're like, what does this mean? And I'm like, yes, it means yes.
Remember, I feel like all these trends just kind of like mix in my head because I feel like I've been talking about it for so long, and then it
Absolutely.
hits. So tie-dye was definitely something that I predicted, and it 100% became one of the biggest trends, I think, of the year.
Yeah, you think we're done with tie-dye? I think we're kind of done with tie-dye. It's trickling out.
And we're still obviously seeing it, but we always have to reiterate. And so I feel like the designers now are going to be making it a little bit more like dystopian vibe, like almost biohazard chemicals exploding on the sweaters now. So
yes,
the colors are going to be a little bit more grungy.
I can't, the way that I'm like hyping
neon,
my...
like...
I'm so hungry. Okay, let's wrap this up, girl.
The colors are going to be a little bit more grungy, a little bit more neon, like... You know what I'm talking about? Like those acid spills almost. So I feel like that's the way that the tie-dye is gonna go. So we'll still be seeing it just like in another way. And almost like it looks like a camo print, I think. I'm like really thinking 90s grunge, to be honest. Like I feel like all of that 90s grunge is gonna come back. So punk was actually a prediction that I had said I think is coming, but it just didn't hit in 2019. I was talking about like Ricardo Tisci for
It's
Burberry.
so funny. I'm like
that.
bringing this up again for 2021. I'm like 2 in the future, you guys.
For Burberry and like that collaboration with Vivienne Westwood. And Vivienne Westwood, if you guys know, she like pretty much catapulted that punky era. So I feel like we are going to be seeing that maybe in winter of this year, like fall of this year. Just kind of makes sense because plaid and like the reds and like the darker colors always come about.
But you know who really solidified themselves as the Gen Z designer of choice is Miss Vivienne Westwood herself. Yes, that necklace made an appearance through my TikTok, through my Instagram, a lot this year, or 2020.
So this like acid, dystopian tie-dye and this punky vibe, I feel like we're definitely going to be seeing at the tail end of the year. So
Let me see. Punk. It wasn't really trending. It was very preppy. It was very preppy in 2020. This is so wrong. I got it wrong.
be seeing at the tail end of the year. So we shall see if I'm right, but I'm just thinking like 2000s. As you guys know, if you're familiar with my channel and you're familiar with my trend videos specifically, you guys already know that trends come back every 20 years. So every 20 years, just expect to see the same shit you saw 20 years ago. So just do your research. Obviously 20 years ago, it's Y2K, and I definitely saw a lot of that already make its way in. I talked about this a lot in my updated what I got right, what I got wrong in that trend forecasting videos. Low-rise jeans, I'm seeing way more of that. I'm seeing like more of a boot cut these days. I'm seeing a lot of bare midriffs. I'm seeing just a lot of the stuff that was super popular in the year 2000. And also in the year 2000, if you guys can recall, in like 2001, it was very punky. Like I'm thinking of Avril Lavigne, but there was like a really big punky scene during that time. So moving on to some other silhouettes that I think
2021, baby.
Things that are very cut and paste, and I definitely have talked about this trend. I feel like I'm a broken record because fashion takes just like a minute to change up a little bit. All of the construction of garments is going to be very unique and very like cut and paste, like asymmetrical, or just like the cutouts are going to be a little bit what makes things modern. And
This is very true. You know all those tops that we saw that were like mesh, and then it's like they do it with like a serger where you'll see the seam and it does look very like cut and paste. Some of the times it's like the same pattern, but just the fact that that seam is visible, it makes it very this. So I feel like I was right in this case.
And interesting
Because those were very popular.
very minimalistic 90s that I love. Like think Old Celine, think Prada in the 90s, think helmet look like very clinical almost. So I love that aesthetic and I can't wait to see more of it if it does come true.
What's really crazy is like the fact that I said like clinical, you know?
So these are just a few of the looks that had cutouts down the fall-winter 2020 runways. Oh my gosh, look at this one by Off-White. Tell me that does not look like my reference I had on my mood board for cutouts. More cutouts 2021. We'll talk all about it in
is like I had mentioned earlier in this video, a lot more people are working from home. A lot more comfort is going to take
You guys
priority
know.
in our dressing.
Yes, comfort is gonna take priority. I mean, this is probably like the biggest thing I got right in like working from home. What the fuck, dude?
And because we are gonna
I like shock myself sometimes. I'm like, dude, what?
be losing a little bit of the getting dressed up, I think more people are gonna like want their comfort to have a little bit of pizzazz. I'm thinking of all of the feathers that we saw clearly in 2019. I think we're still going to be seeing a lot of leopard. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of zebra. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of
Oh my god, I bought heaps of zebra. I've always been a fan of zebra. It just like really speaks to my like 10-year-old self. Like I've always been so obsessed with like that print over leopard, honestly, and I love leopard too, but we saw a lot of zebra. I was right. And like the feathers, I did see a lot of like influencers in like the Daily Sleeper, like with the feathers for sure. And I do feel like people were still trying to somewhat like, even if it was getting dressed up for the gram, their work from home outfits were definitely getting a little fancy sometimes. Not always, but I did see a little bit of that.
Just like puff things in general, quilted things in general, and like in very luxe materials like velvet and silk and satin. Like just things with like a very soft, lustrous hand, but they have to be comfortable. Like I love Daily Sleeper. I think
yeah,
their
of course,
stuff
I bring
is
up Daily.
so cute.
So good.
So I definitely think we are going to be seeing more of this kind of like dressing up to stay in, and also very functional, practical, comfortable clothing.
Yes, queen. Yes. I'm so annoying. I'm like calling myself a queen, but
Bear with me. I know what I'm talking about. The last thing that I wanted to talk about that I feel like we're going to be seeing a lot in 2020 and moving forward even, we shall see how much I get right and wrong in 6 months.
Is that
we'll
it?
do an update. But I think
we waited a year.
because of Tokyo 2020, we're going to be seeing a lot of Asian influence,
She
a
did
lot
not.
of Eastern influence. So I've been already seeing a lot of like kimono style, a lot of like dragons, very like Eastern influence. So I think we're going to continue to see a lot of that. I feel like that was also super popular in the late 90s and
That's
early
what mine-
2000s.
yeah.
So it kind of makes sense that it's going
I
to
honestly forgot anything that I say in there. That's why I'm like, okay, I'm like watching with you.
hit again. Even if it's not necessarily like the print, like
I saw a lot of that dragon print, you guys, like through Depop, like that kind of trendy, like Gen Z TikTok. Like I feel like they're the ones really like navigating these super popular aesthetics where like you really see the boom in Gen Z. Like if they like something, it's like everybody has it in their own unique way. I feel like Gen Z is, you know, they're unique. I love Gen Z, I really do.
So because of the Olympics, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of like
Sorry,
collegiate,
girl,
preppy,
no
a lot of
Olympics,
jerseys,
never happened.
more sportswear basically.
So wide-eyed and bushy-browed here.
Collegiate, preppy, a lot of jerseys, more sportswear basically. But I feel like we are going to be seeing more upcycled jerseys and like this throwback. I feel like forever people are going to have this very soft spot for nostalgia. So maybe we'll be seeing a little bit more of like throwback jerseys and more of these like classic primary type of color, like very vintage lettering or like Letterman jackets.
You know what's funny is like this is kind of it's starting. It's just starting now. I feel like at the end of 2020, I'm starting to see a lot more of this, like even the Gap sweaters, you know, it's like very collegiate, like I said, very preppy. My mind was right, but I didn't quite nail it on the vest, on those Argyle vests that we saw a lot of, but we're like, you know, going in that direction.
Oversized sweater vest, but just like
oversized
very,
sweater vest. I did say
primary.
it. Okay. She said it. She did say that.
Like primary is I think what we're going to be seeing a lot of. And then in the winter time, and I know we've seen this before, like maybe 2-3 years ago, like the 1960s, 70s ski vibes. That's what I feel like we're also going to be seeing. So that's how it's going to move forward from the summer to the winter. And yeah, I just feel like we're going to be seeing a lot of this.
Yeah, I guess
like
I did go to from
collegiate, preppy, vintage lettering, very sports fanatic, but throwback jerseys and things like that.
Okay, throwback Gap. Who would have thought, you know?
And I definitely think that's going to be because of the Olympics going on.
Or because of Emma Chamberlain, you know?
It's a worldwide event. So those are my 2020 fashion trend predictions.
Wow, you guys, we did get quite a bit right. I feel like the most obvious was the stay-at-home order, right? Trying to still look good, but it needs to be comfortable because we are at home and working from home. I think that one is definitely a huge call out. But thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to read the comments. What do you guys think? Is there anything that I missed? Why can't I think of anything right now? I know there's a ton of things that I did not predict happening, but you know, we're gonna get a little bit more specific in the 2021. I can't wait to see you there. It's coming very, very soon. So subscribe if you aren't already and you're new here. Welcome, welcome, welcome to this side of the internet where we like to analyze the shit out of fashion. And again, Happy New Year's, my friends. I love you so much. Con mucho, mucho amor. I can't take somebody's thing like that. But ciao. I love you. See you soon.